Good morning. My name is John Von Paris, and I am the chairman of the MDTA Finance Committee. I hereby call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order at 9 a.m. In accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being conducted via video conference and is being live streamed on the MDTA Finance Committee webpage. All members will have their video active during the entirety of the meeting. To minimize background noise during the call, I would ask that everyone on the line please mute your phones except when speaking. I ask that those who are presenting or answering a question to please turn your video and audio on when speaking. When you're done, please turn your video off and put your audio on mute. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media who have pre-registered to comment at this morning's meeting. Before we begin with today's agenda, I would like to make a motion to amend today's agenda to include a legislative update from the executive director after the final agenda item. Is there a motion to amend the agenda? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Yep. Okay, we have a motion by member Rosen, second by member Carroll. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. The legislative update will be added to the end of today's agenda. This time we will begin with the agenda item number 1, the approval for February 8, 2024 open meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Member Ardinger, I so move.
Thank you, Member Ardinger. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay.
Member Carroll.
Thank you, Member Carroll. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, members. We now will move on to the update fiscal year 2025 Department of Legislative Services budget analysis, and Chantel Green and Jeffrey Brown will be presenting this morning. Good morning, Chantel and Jeffrey.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you. For the record, I am Chantel Green, Director of Finance here at the Authority. I am joined today by Jeffrey Brown, the Authority's Budget Director. As in the past, Jeff and I will provide the committee with a high-level overview of our most recent budget hearings. As a reminder, at times we will be toggling back and forth between the first attachment, which is the Department of Legislative Services. You'll hear me refer to DLS, Department of Legislative Services, the budget analysis document, as well as the second attachment, which is the Authority's responses to the DLS analysis. We will do our best to direct you to the appropriate pages as we move along. I'd now like to direct your attention to the first page of the DLS analysis document. You'll note that the fiscal year 2025 budget, including debt service, increases by 4% to $566.4 million. If you turn to the top of page 2, the fiscal year 2025 capital budget decreases by 1% to $556.7 million. Moving to the bottom of the page, you'll see a brief summary of the issue to be discussed later in the analysis document. And it should be noted that there were no recommended DLS actions. So if you turn to page 5 of the DLS analysis document, which is page 15 of your PDF document, DLS commented on the Authority's E-ZPass penetration rate and asked that we comment on any strategies to encourage toll facility users to enroll in the E-ZPass program. In our response, which is on page 42 of your PDF document, we begin by noting that there will always be a segment of the motoring public that chooses not to participate in the E-ZPass program. But with that being said, the Authority uses multiple strategies to encourage E-ZPass enrollment. Several of our regional strategies include, but are not limited to, utilizing a wide variety of marketing platforms such as social media and digital advertising on billboards to promote customer awareness of the significant discounts available through the program, seeking new partnerships with on-the-go retailers, and establishing additional customer service centers at MVA locations, making it more convenient for customers to sign up for E-ZPass and to manage their accounts. Additionally, the authority continues to leverage its membership in the E-ZPass group, which consists of 36 tolling agencies across 19 states that operate under the E-ZPass electronic toll collection program umbrella. Key initiatives of the group include national interoperability and partnering with external hubs to collect electronic payments from customers affiliated with a tolling agency outside of the E-ZPass network. And lastly, other efforts to increase the authority's customer base include establishing a division of customer experience to better understand customer needs, as well as launching the Drive Easy Maryland mobile app and updating the E-ZPass account homepage so that it's more convenient for customers to pay their tolls. We conclude our remarks by noting that while the authority continues to strive towards the highest possible E-ZPass usage rate, it's critical to give our customers alternative payment options so that they can pay their way while traversing the authority's facilities. I will now turn it over to Jeff to discuss the operating budget, which begins on page 6 of the DLS analysis document or page 16 of your PDF document.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Jeffrey Brown, Budget Director for the MDTA. I first have to apologize up front. Again, I'm not on video. My front camera on the computer is not working. I spent most of the day yesterday with IT trying to resolve it with some, I think, updated drivers which failed to upload, so I may need to bring it into the shop. But unfortunately, I do not have a working front camera, so it's only going to be audio, unfortunately. Moving to page 6, as you can see, as Chantel mentioned the numbers, the $566.4 million. We went through the various major variances for budget. You can see the biggest one is the personnel expenses of $7.2 million. As we've talked about this before, that's made up of various things like a 5% police COLA, 2% civilian COLA, various steps and reclasses, as well as fringe rate changes are included in that number. The E-ZPass Service Center costs increased $4 million. That's a reflection of updating our modeling to reflect, updated forecasted volumes, administrative activities, and the contractual arrangements. So that's an updated number that results in an increase of $4 million. Contractual engineering costs up by $2.9 million due to additional project costs, some compliance requirements, as well as market rates increasing. And then there were various contracts lumped together for systems maintenance, some IT contracts, as well as janitorial services, which increased $1.5 million. And we had a $1.2 million increase, mainly for cell phone equipment increases due to the MDTA using body cameras. And as a result, they can't use their personal phones. They'll be using other phones that will automatically link in with that, which accounts for that increase. Maryland State Police overhead increased $1.1 million. That's provided to us. That's almost like a mandated increase that we just accept. And then there were some inflationary increases of about $500,000. We had vehicle fleet replacement reduction of about $1 million. That's due to the completion of the major police vehicle purchases in the previous time. So this is more of a reflection of a ongoing run rate. Moving to the next page, on page 7, you can see we had about a $2 million increase for things I'm sure you're very well aware is the property and business insurance increases, which is a reflection of the market conditions. We also had an increase of utilities, about $500,000. That reflects more actual activity. We budget according to what actuals have been coming in the prior year, so that's a reflection of that. And those were the major variances. There was about $300,000 for what's called controlled sub-objects, which are really mandated by DBM, and we don't have the direct control over that. So that we went through that, and that explains a $20.5 million increase. Be happy to take any questions at this time. Otherwise, I will turn it back to Chantel.
Any questions? Any questions from any of the members? Okay. Questions at this time? Chantel? Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you. So turning to page 19 of the DLS analysis, which is page 29 of your PDF document, the analysis contains one issue, which we were not asked to comment on. In short, the issue provides an overview of the authority's financial standards, provides a high-level summary of our November 2023 financial forecast, and notes that the November 2023 forecast showed that a toll increase would be needed 1 year later than previously estimated due to the inclusion of additional projected toll revenue during the FY 2024 to 2029 financial forecast period. And unless Deb or Bruce have anything else to add, this concludes the update on the fiscal year 2025 DLS analysis document. Be happy to respond to any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Chantel, just one question more curiosity related to the E-ZPass penetration and our goal to get more people signed up. What is the average in other jurisdictions, other states that have E-ZPass? Because I know we're part of this consortium. How are we relative to the percentage penetration in other states?
There's Deb. Thanks.
I haven't looked at it, member version lately, but in the past we've been pretty consistent, and a lot of it is dependent upon the roadway, whether or not a roadway has a lot of local traffic, or whether it's out of state traffic. It impacts a lot. As one of the strategies for increasing E-ZPass is by making E-ZPass more available. That you can see that in the growth of E-ZPass. More and more agencies continue to join, and then also the efforts that we're making for national reciprocity, so that other hubs outside of E-ZPass, their transponders work on our roadway as well, and that will all help us with penetration. So we seem to be working together. As other agencies go up, we go up. As we go up, other agencies go up.
I'm sorry, and Deb, do we know how percentage of Marylanders, since this is total collected using E-ZPass, and you mentioned out of state, what percentage of Marylanders, what's the penetration with Marylanders?
I'd have to come back to you with that.
Okay.
Because from a collection rate perspective, when we're talking about E-ZPass transactions, Maryland and out of state, they mirror each other. And about a month ago, as part of a regular finance meeting with Walt and Cheryl and Chantel and Ken and Alan and myself, we were looking at in-state and out-of-state collections, and in-state and out-of-state for video tolls very, very close to each other. Within 1 or 2%. I just don't recall the percentage right this minute.
Okay. And I would just make the point for the record, we can only control what, within Maryland E-ZPass customers, not other E-ZPass customers.
Right.
Thank you.
Member Carroll.
Yeah, just Deb jumped off, but either for Chantel or Deb, just thinking through future trending as it relates to the number of passenger vehicles on the road, and where I think society's headed more broadly with respect to hybrid or remote working. Are there any studies being done to think through the long-term impact, or to maybe forecast what that long-term impact might be with that intersectionality of those 2 points?
I would say that is something that CDM Smith, our independent traffic and revenue consultants, look at. And, if we go back 3 years, we really thought we were going to see a decline in our traffic, because from a volume perspective, by far 2-axle outpaces multi-axle significantly. And we're still seeing, generally right around this 1% growth. So even though people may commute less to their workplace, trips are being filled in other ways that, we're still seeing modest growth. And right now, what impacts our traffic the most, and what we're paying the most attention to is actually commercial. That the economic cycles impact us, far more.
Thanks, Deb.
Some very good questions here. Anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you, Chantel and Jeffrey. And Jeffrey, I hope you have the camera gets worked out for you. So sorry about that.
I do too. Thank you very much.
Okay. King, the last item on the agenda is an update, a legislative update from the Executive Director, Bruce Gardner. Bruce, good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I wanted to follow up on our board meeting conversations about House Bill 1070 and Senate Bill 1093. You'll recall that those bills dealt with the board's ability to set tolls, and that they recommended, kind of a mandate that the be tolls set at a certain optimal level in relation to a maximum rate. The General Assembly heard and saw legal, the AG's office provided some legal opinions on the way that that would impact us, from our trust agreements to our bond ratings, et cetera. The committee in the House considered that, and some concerns that we and MDOT raised about that legislation. Yesterday, the subcommittee in the House adopted a revised amended bill that would basically remove the mandates that there be toll increases. What they did is they said, after the authority meets its obligations with respect to its facilities, they should make a contribution to the Transportation Trust Fund that would equate to about $750 million over a period of time, probably 10 years, in recognition of the trust fund's previous support for the ICC. So the legislation will likely move through the House. The committee will probably vote later this week because crossover is on Monday. Some of the other things that the bill took care of is they, to benefiting the MDTA, is they increased the bond limit from $3 billion to 3.75, so that if there is a need for a toll increase, that toll increase can actually leverage more in the way of projects and addressing our needs. So we're not sure how the Senate is going to address this bill, because the House doesn't talk about how the rates would potentially change, how you would consider that. The Senate is kind of leaning towards what was discussed in the Train Commission, and trying to make sure we have some additional benefit for Maryland E-ZPass customers, in that they wouldn't see as large of an increase. So that debate has going. If you've followed information in the House and Senate recently, the legislation about taxes in general is a different philosophy in one chamber than the other. So we're monitoring the situation closely, and I should have a revised bill language that I can share with you later today, and some comments about the impact. So we've been following this and trying to respond to questions about toll rates, but the good news is that those legal problems that we could have ended up with a previous bill, because of the advice that they saw and were given, they've largely come down from that and put it back in your hands to do that.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Member Artinger?
So, Bruce, I'm just going back to trying to understand what exactly, how this new potential legislation would impact us from a budgeting and finance perspective. And you're probably still trying to figure that out too. But,
right.
So they're looking at if we have any overage.
Right.
Okay. And yet part of it, we're projecting several years in advance. And some of that money that maybe this year we have an overage, but next year we may need it for what looks like to be a deficit in certain areas. How does that work? How are we going to crunch these numbers and make this come up with what
So if you look at the budget and based on the advice that we give you and what you're seeing, you see that the revenues are sufficient to provide that payment to the trust fund, then you'll be it encourages doing that, and it sets out a limit of how much you would have to do over the years. Obviously, you don't have anything right now, so that's new, but it doesn't mandate the increase. It kind of puts that perspective of in order to provide that, there should be maybe consideration of a total increase before it was currently projected.
Okay, so the decision rests with the board, basically. Correct. At this point. Right. But there's a number that's thrown out, and are they saying that they're expecting to see that type of contribution? Is that
yes? It's General Assembly's expectation that if you can satisfy all the other provisions of your trust agreement, that would be something they'd be looking to see sent over to the DOT, to the trust fund.
Okay, but it's not a requirement; it's an expectation.
So they work very hard to avoid that requirement language. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
There's certainly a lot more study and there are a lot more details to be evaluated here. Would you agree?
Yeah. So yes, at the board meeting, we'll have even more kind of evaluation of it for you, because it's all happening pretty fast. But we're trying to put together as much information for you in advance of that as possible.
It's appreciated. Are there any other questions? Okay. Member Ardinger, thank you for your question. It was a very good question, obviously. Okay, Bruce, anything else at this point on this agenda item?
No, nothing else. There are a couple other bills moving through. Work zone safety that has been amended. Some of the fines have been reduced a bit, but it is moving through. So we're very encouraged to see increased safety measures in our work zones moving through the General Assembly as well.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for this update. Appreciate it. It brings us to the end of the agenda items, and so we will, at this point, ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, second.
Member Ardinger, I'll second.
Thank you, Member Ardinger and Member Rosen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned.